Flavion Shalom from Coinprism. How's it going?
Good, good. Thank you, Theo, for having me.
Coinprism is a website or a business? How would you call it? Or what?
So it is a business, but it's basically the main product is the website coinprism.com, which is so it's a colored coin wallet, which is web-based. So it's similar to coinprism.info, sorry, to blockchain.info, except in addition to storing Bitcoin, you can also store colored coins.
Okay, great. Well, that sounds interesting, colored coins, but I'm not sure everybody really gets what that is that's never heard of it before. Colored coins are basically like all of these other things, these so-called assets and other things that people are releasing on Mastercoin or counterparty platforms, right? It's basically a similar system, correct?
Yes, so it uses Bitcoin as a register of ownership, and it uses it to not instead of just storing Bitcoin, it lets you store any kind of assets. So anybody is able to issue their own assets and transfer it, receive it, send it. So it is similar to Counterparty and Mastercoin to some level, yes.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Um, what happened with Counterparty and the Bitcoin core developers was at some point they said, okay, we don't really like that you guys are using the blockchain like that, or some of them were against that and said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the OP return to 40 bytes, and that's going to prevent blockchain bloat and so-called blockchain spam. And that made it so that people using a counterparty platform would have to use multi-signature in order for the platform to function, which sounds really complicated, but it's not that complicated from a conceptual point of view. But I wanted to ask you, is it possible that colored coins could get kind of edited out of the function of the system? Could that be kind of edited out by the core developers if they said we want to make it 5 byte OP return, which would be really extreme, but think weird things can happen. What do you think?
Yeah, so at the moment, CoinPrism uses OpReturn, and it was reduced from 80 bytes, which it should have been originally 80 bytes, so it was reduced to 40 bytes. But yeah, CoinPrism is using the protocol that's called Open Assets, and Open Assets is very lightweight, so it only stores a very small amount of data, and the average transaction stores between 10 and 20 bytes in the up return. So as long as we can store this small amount of bytes, it should be fine. And if up return completely disappears, if it gets removed, I don't think it should be the case, but if it ever happens, then yeah, we would move to probably multi-sig, but it's unlikely. I actually submitted a pull request recently for the next release of Bitcoin 0.10 to increase it to back to 80. So it is being discussed at the moment by the core developers if they want to accept it or not. It's not clear if it's going to be accepted, but if it's accepted, then it will help a lot of those protocols who need more data in the blockchain. But CoinPrism can live definitely with 40 bytes, and it could live with less even. So that's not really a concern for us at the moment.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just think it's an interesting point, and also like you said, it's pretty unlikely, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think some people overlook that point. You're using something called open assets, and anyone could develop their own little platform like CoinPrism using the open assets.
So it's a protocol, but it's a protocol that's completely defined. It's a pretty simple protocol. The specification fits into 7 pages, and it's very it's very simple because it only does really one thing. So it has two features basically. One is to create an asset, and the other one is to transfer an asset. And then by adding by adding things around it, you can You can, for example, associate it with a contract, or you can do a lot of different things. But the core protocol is very simple. It only does, issuing an asset, transferring an asset, and because it is so simple, um, it's easy for anybody to re-implement it. And it's actually it has been implemented 3 times already. So there is our own implementation, which is called Color Core. So it's up on GitHub. There is so assembly.com, which is a startup. They have what's called Assembly Coin, which is also some open source toolkit that uses open assets, which is also compatible with what we have. And then there's a third implementation, and Bitcoin, which is a .NET implementation, so C# of open assets. So the fact that the protocol is so simple makes it easy for people to re-implement it. So it basically gives more freedom to people who want to base their business or base their system on this platform. So the simplicity was really a goal here.
So did you add on the feature to pay out dividends to people that have tokens, or how did you manage that if it's not really in the protocol itself?
So yeah, basically all the additional features are implemented by the wallets. So it's the core protocol doesn't need to be aware of those features, but the wallets can implement it. So for example, in the case of dividends, what happens is that the wallet will look at all the owners of a specific asset. So it will look at all the addresses that own this asset, and it will look at how many they own, and then it will distribute proportionally an amount of Bitcoin to those addresses. So if there is an address which has 5 units of the asset and another one which has 10, then it will send 1/3 of the Bitcoin to the one which has 5, and then 2/3 to the one which has 10. And the wallet can do that without the protocol having a special feature of that. So basically, we have a more modular approach than some other projects, where we take a very simple core, a very minimal core of part of the protocol, and then all the additional features are built around it as applications.
Okay, great. That sounds good. So now I've got from your blog the screenshot of Armory Wallet. So anyone that uses Armory this will be a little bit familiar to them. And if I understand right, I can back up my assets that I've created on the Colored Coins Coinprism platform in Armory, right?
Yeah, so the way it works is that you add an offline address onto your Coinprism wallet. So you have two options. Either you can copy the raw public key like you're showing here, or
Mm-hmm.
you can also directly input the address itself. And then Coinprism will basically know the public key of that. And whenever you want to send an asset from that address, instead of actually creating a transaction and signing it for you, which it cannot do because it doesn't have the private key, it will create like a small piece of text, a small file, which contains the unsigned transaction. So you will put then this file on a USB stick, and you can copy it to the offline machine that runs Armory, and the Armory machine will sign the transaction for you, and then you can broadcast it to the network. So the signature of the transaction can be done offline separately from Coinprism. Coinprism only generates the transaction for you, which is the right transaction as far as the protocol is concerned, but the signature is done offline.
Okay, well, I think that's really cool because I don't need an extra program. That program already exists.
Yes, so yeah, Armory is one of the most.
So I don't have to have a whole nother program. So that's really pretty cool. I think that some of the other platforms have integrated something similar, but I haven't tested it out. I think Counterparty has some kind of Armory thing too. But speaking of that, we're getting into a lot of technical stuff. So, but I still want to mention it. So we went in already. I said earlier that Counterparty uses multi-signature, and it would use 80-byte OP if it could. I think that would be more efficient for it. I know that Viacoin and their platform called Clearinghouse, which is a fork of Counterparty, It actually uses 120 byte because they have some added features to it, like something called a blockchain notary. So colored coins doesn't need all this bytes because, like you said, it's a very simplified protocol. So does that mean that it's more robust necessarily, or what's the advantage of using such a simple protocol besides that it's easy to program?
So the advantage, so one advantage obviously is that the footprint is smaller on the blockchain, so basically, so we're not as exposed to censorship as the other protocols because those 40 bytes, it didn't affect us because it's smaller, so that's one benefit. Another benefit is
Mm.
that it's easier to audit the code and look at the protocol and know that it works. It's quite easy to do that. In terms of the robustness, it's much easier to prove that it's robust and it works. And then another benefit is the fact that it's easier to re-implement. So there's no you're not really locked in into one implementation. If you're a business and you want to have your own implementation, not be exposed to the bugs in the official implementation, for example, you can build your own. And some businesses want this kind of freedom, so for them it's actually good because they can, you know, the implementation itself of the protocol is about 500 lines of code, so it's fairly straightforward. So yeah, that's basically simplicity usually is a benefit for that what I think is that usually in the history of the internet, the simplest protocols always have been prevailing because it's at the end of the day it's cheaper, cheaper to implement, cheaper to maintain. So I think there's a strong benefit in being simpler, but at the same time, to be completely fair, Counterparty can do much more things that Coin cannot do, for example. So Counterparty, they can do smart contracts now with Ethereum, so they imported the Ethereum code. So they can run smart contracts, which Coin cannot do. They can do peer-to-peer betting, for example, which Coins also cannot do. Coins has a very focused scope, so really it only tries to do one thing, which is assets. Uh, but yeah, if you need more, then Counterparty is more adapted, I suppose.
So where do you see the future of all this stuff? I mean, I see there are a lot of uses. There's crowdfunding, you can do a asset-backed token, or people talk about that all the time. But what I mean is from the wallets and all this. I mean, okay, I've got a counterparty wallet. I've got a Mastercoin wallet. I've got a Coinprism wallet. I've got a Bitcoin wallet. And then on top of that, I've got maybe a few altcoin wallets. And then I've got, I don't know, but even just with Bitcoin and just with let's say I bought one asset from a company on Mastercoin, and I bought one asset on Counterparty, and I bought another asset using Coinprism. I mean, it sounds like a lot of different programs to have on your computer in the long term. Maybe right now nobody really thinks about it, but when I look at it, and someone from the outside that's new to Bitcoin, it's kind of confusing. So I was just thinking, if you see in the future a kind of, or if it's possible, wallets that would recognize even more than one platform in one multi-wallet for like a lot of these different protocols that are creating assets, so that it's a little bit more simplified. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be possible to build a wallet that understands all the different meta protocols. And as a matter of fact, I think Omni Wallet, which is the main wallet for Mastercoin, I think they recently said that they wanted to add more protocols. So yeah, I think they initially they want to add maybe some altcoins, but they can also add some colored coins. Yeah, the name Omni means everything, so they want to support more things. So that would be one project to do that. And definitely there is a business opportunity for a company to build a wallet that's multifunction. So I think it will happen at some point, yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about some use cases. What use cases already exist using the Coin Prism colored coins platform. I think that at your presentation you mentioned a hair salon. Is that right?
Yes, so there is a hair salon in Australia who raised some money using Coinprism. So they created some shares, or well, I don't know if they are actually shares from the legal standpoint, but they created some colored coins, and they sold some of them to some people who wanted to invest in the hair salon. Then with the money, I mean, it wasn't enough, but they put some more money, but they basically opened a new store in Melbourne, I believe. So yeah, so crowdfunding, it's a great tool to do that. All those platforms that do asset on the blockchain, it's a it's a great tool to do that. There are more use cases, just commodity-backed tokens, so gold, precious metals, could be anything. So, I've talked recently to someone who wants to have a compost backed token. So
Oh,
he
that's
runs
great. Compost back token.
Yeah, so he runs a waste disposal company, and basically, whenever people brings some, natural waste, he can compost it. And so he's gonna, whenever somebody brings waste, he wants to give away a token with which you can buy some compost later on. And because the farmers actually also buy a lot of compost, the hope is that the farmers accept the token as a payment for local products so that then they can buy the compost for a little bit cheaper. So
Okay,
there's
very
many
good.
many opportunities, many ideas.
Mhm. Oh, that's a funny idea with the compost coin,
Yeah.
compost token. All right, we already know that you can issue asset. How much does it cost to issue an asset on the platform?
So the cost to first of all creating the definition of the asset, which has creating the name, creating the description. You can add an icon. All of that is free because it's only creating a file, and then actually issuing the asset, issuing the tokens is just a normal Bitcoin transaction. So it only costs the same amount as you would pay for a Bitcoin transaction, which is 0.0001 0001 Bitcoin. So it's zero
Mhm.
point 0.1 millibit, and it's about 4 cents. So, but even the transaction fee is optional, so you don't even have
Okay,
to pay it. The confirmation might be slower. And the benefit of not using multisig is that if you use multisig, you need some dust to populate the multisig outputs, which is not the case with OpReturn. So you can absolutely create an asset for nothing if you want with open assets.
right. Okay, and if I want to make an asset in Counterparty, then I need XCP, which is the counterparty currency. But in Coinprism and Color Coins, I don't need that, right?
Yeah, so there's no intermediary currency in Cardano coin. So even if you wanted to, there wouldn't be any way to make people pay for that. And counterparty again. So right now they ask for zero point 0.5 XCP, I believe,
Yep.
but they plan to add a new type of asset which will be free. Although you would, instead of having a name, you will have a number, but still it will be free. So they also plan to do that. And so yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, what are some new features that you guys are thinking about adding to the Coinprism Colored Coins platform?
So one thing we want to do is increase the range of cold storage options. So right now you can use Armory, but we want to add some hardware-based cold storage options. So at some point you will be able to use Trezor, the Trezor device, to store your assets,
Hmm.
and some other hardware wallets that exist.
Ledger Wallet, maybe?
Ledger wallet as well, yes.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and yeah, there's
Sound Wallet?
why not? Yes.
No, Sound Wallet would work today without a problem, I can tell you. All right, so it doesn't cost very much to make an asset. Just it would just be like a normal Bitcoin transaction. Even if I make 1 million shares or something, it doesn't make a difference, I think.
Mhm.
So how do you guys make money? How does CoinPrism make money? You're not a centralized, the whole issuing of the assets takes place on the blockchain. There's no central organ behind it. So you guys are just offering a service for people that need help issuing assets, or how does that work?
Yeah, so for now, the wallet is completely free. People can use it for free. The API, we have an API as well, which is free. So this is free now, and it will remain free. But we basically plan to provide some services around that. So, for example, we plan to have a feature to facilitate crowdfunding. So this is something we are calling smart address. So this is something we're thinking about. So you would basically have, so there would be a wizard online, completely web-based, where you can configure your asset. You can configure, yeah, basically everything you want about your asset, the price and everything, if the price changes over time and so on. And it would, at the end of the wizard, it would give you a simple address, and you would be able to advertise that address on your website or on social media and so on. And then whenever people would send Bitcoin to that address, they would immediately receive an amount of colored coins that matches how much they sent. So that's a way to purchase colored coins. So let's say you set 0 0.1 Bitcoin per unit of the asset. People send 1 Bitcoin, they receive 10 assets. And that's completely automated. And then we would take probably a small transaction fee on that system. So that's one way we have to monetize the system, basically to provide services around it. And also maybe some kind of consulting if some people want to integrate colored coins and they don't know where to start, we can also do that.
Mhm. Okay, well that sounds really great because right now you have to do it manually. So if where I can put it on the decentral exchange on a counterparty platform. I think Mastercoin has one too. So if I have TheoCoin and I'm doing a crowd sale for my project, then I can put a whole bunch on the decentral exchange and people can buy them. But in order to do that, the people have to make a Mastercoin wallet or a counterparty wallet, and that's another barrier. So if people have never done it before, it's a little bit hard to explain. They might be interested in your project, but they are not into all these assets and all this stuff. So that's kind of weird. So for what I understand, what you're talking about is that you just send bitcoins to my asset address, my crowdfunding address, and then the people get in return from the address they sent the bitcoins, the colored coins, right?
So yeah, they send Bitcoins into that address and they receive colored coins. So yeah, ideally they do need to have a wallet that can handle colored coins, otherwise they won't be able to do anything. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But basically it's
But
pretty simple.
but it still sounds a little bit easier than the other way because I have the other way. Sometimes the decentral exchange is a little bit slow and buggy, and or I could do it manually. You could say if I had a counterparty, I'd have one address. I can make a bunch of addresses in my wallet, and I see that there was someone paid for some assets, then I'd have to go back and send them to the address that they sent them from. But you're saying you're just going to make that automatic. I think that's a really good idea. That makes it a little bit easier for doing the crowdfunding and paying people
Yeah.
for the assets. Okay, so what are some projects and where do I buy them?
Oh, do you mean projects using
I mean, where okay, we know that there's the hair salon in Australia. Are there any other assets that are active that have used colored coins? And since colored coins doesn't have a decentral exchange, where and how can I buy them? Buy assets that were made on the platform.
So right now there is an exchange that can work with colored coins. So Master Exchange, masterexchange.com. So they started as basically the only exchange where you could buy the master coins, but now they're trying to diversify and do any kind of asset. And they recently implemented colored coins. So if you have an asset, you can go onto the site, copy and paste your asset ID, and then the system will automatically create an order book for you. And people can go and place buy and sell orders automatically, without doing anything. They could just sign up on the site and they can place buy and sell orders. And that's also a good way to run a crowd sale. So you can create a market and then just place a sell order for 1 million coins at $1 for each coin, and that's a way to raise $1 million if people go and buy some of your coins. Um, so yeah, the master exchange is the easiest way at the moment to do this kind of things.
So right now I'm there. Well, yeah, that is kind of interesting because they have Mastercoin and they also have Folding Coin and Counterparty, which are on the Counterparty platform. So they've got some that are on the Mastercoin platform, and they've got some that were released on the Counterparty platform as well. And so some of these could also be from the Colored Coin
Yeah,
platform.
so
I don't know. I
the
have to go to
ones
markets here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the ones that have the COL prefix are on colored
Mm-hmm.
coins. The ones that have XCP are on counterparty. If you click all
Right.
markets, you would see all the
Mhm.
markets there because here it only shows you the ones with some volume.
So I think it costs like $7 or something for me to be able to open a market on this website. So basically, they just make it really easier for people to buy the tokens. Because I would just come here and I would buy one of these, and then I would have it on this website and my wallet at this exchange. And then after that, I'd have to make a colored coin wallet, and I would send it over to that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so you can keep everything on this exchange, and that actually acts as a wallet that can store assets for counterparty and colored coins. So you could do that in theory. You can even have Litecoins, I believe, or made safe coins and so on. So
hmm hmm
yeah, and then you can trade them. So that's quite convenient.
Okay, great. I like that.
We also have Block Explorer. So it's a Block Explorer that's enhanced with asset information. So it's coinprism.info. So it's the same as the main site except .info instead of .com. And there's an asset directory on that which lists all the public assets that have been issued. So there's about 300 at the moment. And so a lot of them are just test assets, but there's a few that have actual value there. So yeah, you can see that on coinprism.info/assets.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so if you click on the asset directory at the bottom.
Yeah, it's loading. Here we go. Okay, so we have this clipped shares, reveal coin, and a nice little logo here that
Mhm.
goes with it. And if I click on here, am I gonna get? Oh, here's a funny one. Am I gonna get some information? I guess. Ah, here we
Yes.
go. This is funny.
Yeah, so people create all kinds of assets, but yeah, you can put a description, the description. So all this metadata is stored actually on the web at this asset definition URL. Ideally,
Ah, okay.
this is stored on the website of the issuer because people who receive that coin, they trust the issuer. So if it's stored on the website of the issuer, there's no reliance on Coinprism at all. So the blockchain has a link to that URL. So as long as the URL exists on the issuer website, there's no dependency on Coinprism. But by default, because most people don't have a website and they want to try colored coins, we also offer the option to host the metadata on the Coinprism servers. So when you see an asset definition URL that starts with cpr.sm, that means it's hosted by Coinprism. But it's very easy to host it on some other server. And eventually there's going to be support for hosting it on BitTorrent or even MadeSafe, which are completely decentralized.
Okay, so all this extra data is definitely not in the blockchain or anything, and it's stored, like you said, either at the issuer's website or at CoinPrism's
Yes.
website if they're not ready. So this here, the CPR.SM, that's one of the CoinPrism websites, right?
Yeah. So if you open that file, you will see that how the definition looks. It's basically a JSON file, and it's basically a file that you can host on your own website if you're a company. and then the CoinCoins wallet will be able to fetch that file and then display the information. So you can see it has a link to the icon. It has some, the full description of it, the name and so on.
Okay, great. That's pretty cool. So that's a really nice directory. That's missing on some of the other platforms, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course you have the issue that, the buyer beware. Everyone has to do their own research on all of these assets. I mean, we don't know. You guys don't know if they're legitimate or not,
Oh,
but
so yeah, so
right?
we have actually a system to prove that you are who you claim you are. So
Okay.
so if you're a well-known company, if you're, I don't know, Amazon, and you want to
Here we have
you want
Raspberry Pi, but I don't think that's the real company.
exactly, yes. So yeah, let's
Mhm.
take the example of Raspberry Pi. If the real company wants to create their own tokens and they want to, but they're afraid of phishing or like people creating fake tokens, like probably this one is.
Mhm.
Um, we have what's called proof of authenticity.
Okay.
So basically, the way it works is that the file it is hosted on, so the metadata file that we saw earlier is hosted on an HTTPS website, and the wallets can retrieve the SSL certificate of that website and look at the person or the company to which it has been issued. And if you're Raspberry Pi, you probably have a certificate issued to the name of the company, and then the wallet can display to the user that this is a verified asset. If you go back to the top actually of that list
Mhm.
and click on the first one, clipped. So this one is actually verified. So if you see the metadata URL, it's clipped.com.au/k. So this is the website of the issuer, and there is a certificate uh, which is issued to clipped.com.au, and that's we can, the wallet can certify that this has been issued by clipped.com.au. So you can actually examine the certificate from your browser. So if you click on the padlock icon in the address bar, uh,
Which one?
yeah, just go
Here? Oh
back
yeah,
here. Yeah,
padlock,
click
yeah.
on the padlock.
Okay, yeah, we're
Yeah,
connected with clippedcom.au, verified from GoDaddy.
yeah. So
Connection is safe.
this is this basically the whole SSL infrastructure is it has existed for like almost 2 decades, and this is how the whole internet works. And this is a system by which the certificate authorities guarantee the identity of of a website, the identity of the person running a website. So using that system, we can link it onto the tokens.
Hmm.
So this
So
is
if you're in
actually
Australia and you want to get your hair cut, this is where you could do it.
yes,
Let's see. They're located on Bridge, St. Plaza, corner of Bridge and Andrew Street. And here's the phone number. So they've got a nice little website there. I guess I'll have to head over there, huh?
yeah.
I think I really need a haircut. No, I'm just joking. Okay, well that's really cool. I like so basically um you're matching an asset with someone using SSL, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Mhm. Well, that's a real simple way, and that's using existing tools, so that's pretty cool.
So yeah,
Okay,
that
so what are some other? Mhm.
that
Go on.
basically eliminates the problem of phishing, of fake assets. Like I think
Right.
it has happened with some of the assets that they sort of take the name of an existing asset. So here, the name, you can take any name you want, but you won't be able to prove it. So that's it works differently. Instead of restricting the cost to take a name, which some of the other platforms are doing, we let anybody take any name, but then you have to prove it that you own that name. So that's a different
Okay,
approach.
so there isn't, yeah, that's true. 'Cause there's not as much of a spam prevention because you don't have this intermediary currency.
Correct.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, we basically let anybody take the name they want, but then
Uh-huh.
it's up to the issuer to prove that they are actually this person. So yeah, we're shifting a little bit the I mean we're it's a little bit different how it works, but we think it's more efficient that way because it's more explicit. Everything is more
Mhm.
explicit.
Here's one. They have their website up there. So I like this method, but I have a question. I mean, couldn't someone, if I'm a really mean person, couldn't I just put as the asset definition URL, some kind of malicious website that as soon as you go on it, they steal all my bitcoins or something? Or how does that, can I put any website here?
As the asset definition or as the
Yeah.
issuer?
Definition URL, right.
Oh, the definition, you can put, you can put any, the definition contains the name of the asset and the description, so you can put whatever you want. You can put whatever name and description you want. It doesn't really matter. But what matters is that is what is on the SSL certificate. So if you point, so there's actually a bidirectional system so that you cannot point to someone else definition. So
Hmm.
if you're trying to create a fake Amazon token, you cannot just point to the true Amazon definition because there's a pointer from the definition back to the asset. So it has to be your own definition. And then the certificate that protects that definition is what matters to prove your identity. So you're not going to be able to have a certificate issued to you with the name of Amazon Limited or Amazon Incorporated, whatever the name of the company is.
Right. So here it says here it has check. The authenticity of the issuer has been verified. It says right here
Mhm.
on this one, Centrobit.
Yes. So it tells the user if the authenticity has been verified or not. The wallet puts that, there is a, if when you're logging onto the wallet, there's an icon, that the green icon if it's verified and an orange icon if it's not verified. Same way you have on your browsers. When you go to an SSL website, you see a padlock icon. If you go to a website that's not SSL, there is no padlock icon. So this is a similar system here that we're using.
Okay, well, do you have any final words for us today?
Um, well, so if you want to try if any of the listeners want to try Coinprism, they can head out to coinprism.com and sign up. The sign up is very straightforward. It's just a username and a password. There, the email is not even mandatory. And you can also try the mobile wallet. So we have an Android wallet, which is it's completely actually doesn't even require a sign up at all. You just download it and then it creates a wallet for you, and you can start receiving and sending assets. And you can just search on the Google Play Store for Coinprism, and it will show that the application.
Right, so I've got it on my phone. I don't have any assets yet. So if you
I can
want
send
to,
you some assets.
right, so if someone wants to, is my camera working?
I don't think we can
If
see the screen.
somebody
There you go.
wants to, yeah, if somebody wants to send me some assets, then here's my QR code. I don't know if it's going to work on the camera, but you can go ahead and do it. Um, but it's a cool little thing that it's on the phone like that. So I haven't noticed that from the other platforms that they have a Android wallet like that, so I can just have
Well,
my assets on my phone.
as far as I know,
What now?
Coinprism is the first platform to do that. I mean, I might be missing some of them, but I don't think I am. But Coinprism, I think, is the
Hmm.
first one to have that.
Hmm. Okay, well, thanks for talking to me today, and it was really interesting.
Yeah,
Let's
thanks
keep in
for having
touch.
me. Yeah, cool.
Okay, bye.
Bye.